Hi guys, thanks for tuning into another episode of Nuggets News. Well, what a week it's been. It's probably been one of the biggest weeks of news that's bullish for crypto that I can remember. Now, for the longest time I've been saying, make sure you watch the full episode because the macro news is continually becoming more and more intertwined with all the blockchain and crypto news. And if that's not demonstrated this week, then I don't know what is. So we'll get into all of that. We do welcome 1,000 new subscribers again this week. Martin and I did our year ahead predictions for a lot of the global economy because most economies are in a similar position to Australia. And Maddie and I also did our crypto gaming and NFTs, and that space is probably even hotter than DeFi at the moment, to be honest. As well as Anthony and I doing our Ethereum, DeFi, all those different themes and narratives, sectors that you want to have exposure to in your portfolio. And I'm going to talk about some of those indexes that make that a lot easier as well, that I know a few of you guys are very, very keen on. So a couple of bits of housekeeping. We've continued to add more and more features. I really want this to become the Google of crypto education. So we've added predictive text. We've now got hundreds of these modules and units, all free. Head over to our website. Please send your friends and family there that are going down the rabbit hole. We don't want them getting caught up in, scams, and there's so much misinformation out there when it comes to crypto if you just start Googling away yourself. Now, speaking of which, I do want to mention this one. This is still massive in Australia. Coin, spelt with a Q, selling these coins. I know they give a lot of people out for free to begin with, but the whole idea is similar to most scams and pyramid schemes where they're trying to sign people up to buy a lot of these coins, and they tell you it's one value and then it's going to go up and you're going to make money, but there's no way to sell it. So there hasn't been any way to sell it for years. And what they do is this whole scam relies on tricking people, businesses and individuals, to give away their goods and services for free, essentially. And for free, they're accepting this coin that's worthless. So they've been promising people that there's going to be an exchange, soon. They've been saying that for more than a year. And what I always said was, as soon as this gets on an exchange, it'll go to zero because it's worthless and the pyramid will collapse. So I think it's only been on this one little exchange that I think they even made themselves for a couple of weeks, and it's already, they've put limits in place so you can't sell more than $100 a day. Now there's businesses out there with tens of thousands of dollars of this. There's individuals that have invested hundreds of thousands of dollars, and there's no way to sell. This is worthless. So look, I know there's probably plenty of you watching this that have even got some coin or involved. So, I hate to break it to you, but this is one scam that's finally collapsing. Okay, so $10 free Bitcoin Bamboo app. This one, just type in code Nugget. A little special for you guys to sign up. This one is the dollar cost averaging, roundups. You link your bank account and it rounds up, and micro strategy, micro saving over time. And yeah, who doesn't love $10 free Bitcoin to get you started there? Other thing I do want to mention, some more freebies. We're still running that eToro promotion. Now we're going to talk about a lot of the stocks and the stock trading platforms as well. But this one, if you are planning on doing some trading or investing there, they do have zero fees for most of the most common trading products. Still running that $100 free Bitcoin giveaway on our website if you sign up. And FTX. Now, these guys have been so quick with their finger on the pulse to add things like GameStop, silver. We're going to get to the silver squeeze that's happening. Wall Street bets, they've got an index now, Nokia, Tesla. So these guys just add all the things that we want to trade quicker than anyone else. So again, there's a discount link down below to get you a double discount on fees. That's all I think for housekeeping, other than just a big shout out. I know plenty of you have been making money in alt season, which is very pleasing. That's what we want to see. Putting everything we've learned over the years into use. This was a great example. We might get into the news a little bit later, but being able to execute on a trade, it went in our direction, but being able to just put on a little bit of leverage and stories like this, I must have got dozens of messages from people that paid off their whole yearly membership with one very safe, nice risk to reward trade set up with Dogecoin of all coins. Okay, let's get into the local news. So prices are going up. We know central banks think that's a good thing. And this COVID stimulus, it is being withdrawn, but inflation isn't in that band. However, the cost of living is going up, particularly, childcare, these other day-to-day expenses, massive taxes on tobacco, alcohol. So it's just, the scales are out of whack, just as they are in plenty of places. But this JobKeeper expiring in March is the thing that is really worrying people, particularly policymakers. A lot of these businesses in tourism want this extended. They're saying they're not going to be able to survive. Other end of the spectrum, whether it's in the US or Australia, we've got all these stories starting to surface of prisoners, dead people, plenty of fraud cases being probed by the ATO. Now, there are some businesses that have been kind enough to give it back. So we've heard things like, I think it was Super Cheap and a few of these others that have given back a lot of that money that they got. Just, I think ethically they want to do the right thing. Now, Combank are boosting their tech spending to try and fend off all these fintech rivals. So I don't think they're doing this just to be nice. I think they're doing it because of the pressure of all of these different technologies that have caught up. Whether it's crypto or these other fintechs, they're really putting their pressure on banking to drop their fees and provide better services. Now, financial markets are licking their lips at the hope of more QE. So the RBA promised a lot of money, but they didn't really have to print a lot in the end. Now, the Aussie dollar has been drifting higher. There hasn't really been that lending other than for all the houses. So they're going to have to try something different. So whether or not that means the RBA are doing more QE to support local governments and they want them to spend, or a different program, we'll wait and see. But the pressure is on them to print more money, if not then to just get the Aussie dollar down. That is probably one of their biggest concerns at the moment. Digital vaccine certificates could enable international students' return. We're hearing this all over the globe, this whole concept of this digital passport and vaccines. Look, it's going to rub a lot of people up the wrong way. There's going to be a lot of debate, but Australia is probably one of those lucky countries where the pressure's not really on to roll out this max vaccination and monitoring program like we've seen in other countries. Now, our biggest trade partner, China, has actually surpassed the US at the moment in terms of receipts of foreign direct investment. So they're open for business. They want that money coming in. America was a little bit, closing themselves off, rolling back a lot of the globalization efforts. Now, Biden's kind of undone a little bit of that. But look, China is suffering a lot of the problems under the surface. Don't get me wrong, but they obviously want all that money coming as much as possible, and they don't want money leaving. There's a lot of capital controls there for the locals. A lot of Pacific Island nations are now turning to Beijing, so they're looking for these loans. They don't want to go to the IMF. The US has got that world reserve status, but China are trying to get their foot in the door here. We've seen them do it in Africa. They want to be the ones that are lending. It's good for the yuan, their local currency, and they want to put those countries in debt. So when they default, they get to swoop in and clean up all the assets. That's one of the biggest tactics of the IMF that people just have no idea about. Now, China are also using their military might, so they're really taking on US for this number one, status of the world. Warplanes, there's a lot of tension and news headlines coming out of Taiwan still. Whether or not this is just to intimidate, we see them flying close to Australia, over US airspace, over waters, over ships. It's just another reason why, friction is high. I think everyone's temperament's a little bit stressed at the moment still with everything going on. And yeah, we really forget how lucky we are in Australia compared to these other places, which are still in these really strict lockdowns. I thought I'd throw this one in here. Speaking of, invasive procedures, going for the other end of town here with the mass anal swabbing in China to crack down on COVID. So there you go, guys. I thought I'd throw that one in there just to lighten the mood a little bit. In China, we've got these giant liquidity shortages, overnight rates. So this is similar to the repo market that really blew out in the US. These overnight lending rates in China are starting to spike. every time we've seen this before, they inject hundreds of billions of yuan into the system and just flood it again. But a lot of banking stress still, obviously. And look, Hong Kong has been a massive benefactor of all this. So $600 billion, this stock rally, and it's all hinging on China's support. So record inflows from Chinese investors, they want to put their capital to work. If they can, have an excuse for that money to leave China, I'm just investing in Hong Kong stocks. That's a good enough reason. The government don't mind that sort of investment. India looking to boost spending in budget to beat these pandemic woes. They're also under the pump. The IMF chief, urging greater support for all these poor nations. Like I just spoke about, greater support basically means we need to help put them further into debt. Look, it's a good and a bad thing. India's economy is showing signs of recovery. Virus cases are actually declining. So this interests me. I can't wait to see, once we have all the data and this is all behind us, about what caused what. Why were some of these countries that have got lower socioeconomic, less hygiene because of the mass population and whatnot, how come they haven't been as badly affected as some of these other places? So I think we're going to find a lot more out about it, and I don't think it's as bad as a lot of places are still making out now. 20% of UK workforce are furloughed as a third lockdown underway. You just feel for these guys. It's in the middle of winter. They're going to their third lockdown. It really does do your head in, and we'll get to our mental health in a second. But faced with these vaccine shortages, the EU is set to impose these export controls. So they were meant to be shipping out a lot of these, and now they've decided that they're not going to. They need them for themselves. And Europe's economy has been lagging China and the US. And now they've kind of gone this tit for tat, EU to end tariffs on $3.4 billion of goods if the US lifts their metal duty. So, I mean, I wasn't even aware the EU and the US are tariffing each other. The media makes these things out to be such a big deal when, we're on the brink of war because of tariffs with China and Russia. But a lot of these economies do have these tariffs and this protectionism mindset in place. The ECB are ready to use all tools if needed to lift inflation. So, if the cost of living is not going up fast enough, that's not a good thing. That really worries me. Now, we know the Fed have moved the goalposts, and they're not worried about overheating the economy. They're more worried about a cool economy. So they're signaling that this easy money policy, while they're not increasing it, they'd rather overheat the economy than have it too cool. But with everything happening, you can't welcome inflation and say we want 3 and 4% cost of food and rent and all that to go up when unemployment is so high, wage growth's not there. It's creating a bigger problem. So the US has suffered the sharpest rise in poverty in more than 50 years. Coronavirus has inflamed a global inequality, and now we're starting to really see those side effects of all that. This is the big worry. If we didn't hit on the head, fast lockdown, 4 weeks, get it over with. If it lingered and we're now heading towards 12 months, we're starting to see mental health and those connections that we need. They're just not there when we're in lockdown. I finally got my glass of water for you guys. So a surge in student suicides. We want these schools to reopen. We know that for some reason children tend not to get as many cases, whatever it is. This is just absolutely terrible stuff to be reading about. It's right there in front of us. I don't think there's really a plan for this in the places that have just gone back into their second or third lockdown. Consumer spending has actually decreased again, so inflation is creeping up. Those handouts and stimulus that gave everything a big boost are ending. And this has got all those flow-on effects. So office space in San Francisco, even worse than New York. Have a look at some of these declines, more than 20%. We've seen it in rents as well. And less cars, this is all changing. I think this has just been the biggest accelerant of the changes that were already coming. But California are now issuing these permits for BadgerDAO to begin testing these driverless vehicles. Hey, would you trust a driverless vehicle? Are you going to be happy when it picks up 3 or 4 people on the way to work? are you going to own a car and put that to work and let it drive around different people like a taxi and earn you money during the day? That's kind of where the gig economy is all going. There'll be less cars on the roads when we've got these cars that are sort of multi-owned. Elon Musk is obviously, Tesla and batteries, but he's also putting this money out there for this carbon capture technology. Joe Biden is pausing all these oil and gas leases, cutting subsidies in bold climate steps. Now, this is all well and good on paper, but I think the reality is that we still need a lot of oil in so many parts of our economy. And when you start cutting back all these different subsidies and leases, and the banks and investment funds are talking about not giving as much money to that sector, hey, it's good if they're going down this green renewable path, but it means that the cost of oil is probably going to go up. And I don't think anyone is thinking about that sort of cycle there. And it is a vicious cycle that's maybe not quick to turn the taps back on once they're making these changes. So yes, global oil demand is going to rise as everything reopens at a time when they're maybe trying to turn off all those taps in a lot of important countries. LNG production's back online, thankfully, in Australia. We've got a pivotal role to play here. Look, Australia should be far more renewable. We've got all this gas and plenty of oil too, but for some reason, plenty of hydro. But we've got some of the most expensive power in the world, which basically just tells you about how poorly run, government infrastructure is in general. All right, so let's get into this crazy stock market that continues to just write a crazy chapter of a book somewhere, or whenever this all ends. So this is total US call option volumes for the stock indexes. This is what starts all these crazy stories that we're reading about, like GameStop. The Wall Street bets, the Robinhood traders piling in and buying these call options. So back in the early 2000s, what's this? Less than 1,000 here. And now we're up to 40,000. The options are now higher volume being traded each day than the stocks and shares. So it's the tail wagging the dog. That's very, very dangerous when this is happening. We're starting to see why. Now, have a look at this for a disclosure filing. So Nancy Pelosi, back in December, she's buying Tesla call options with a $500 strike price and expiration date. I'm not sure, is that March or December? I'm not sure how the US reads these dates. But hey, she paid $1 million for these options. Technically, this isn't illegal, but this is just another example of, is this ethical to be doing with everything that's happening at the moment? With those crazy option stats that I just showed you, we've got some of these, government policymakers there buying these options, spending millions of dollars. Money's flowing into US small cap stocks. Maybe that's because they're easier to move as well, and there's these games that are being played have really spread out, other than just the big five, tech stocks and those household names. $29 billion. This is a 12-week cumulative index. So that's the second largest we've seen ever into small caps. This is the year-on-year change in margin debt and S&P 500. So in red, we can see that margin debt has now passed 2008, past the dot-com bubble, and yeah, this is record highs. People are not afraid to go out there and leverage up at the moment in their accounts at a time when things are really extended. It all comes back to this central bank liquidity, the market cap of all these tech stocks. Remember, they say that there's no correlation here. It's not related, and I think that's way over 90 in terms of that correlation. Prices for money-losing tech firms have soared. So this is the Goldman Sachs non-profitable tech index. Man, oh man, people are just paying ridiculous sums for these companies that they're losing money, they're zombies, but there's so much money out there. Remember we spoke about these SPACs where people are just writing these blank checks. What are people going to do? They're going to start businesses in the hottest sector, the tech sector. At the same time, other end of the spectrum, we've got the big airlines losing money. They're just bailing themselves out by selling another $1 billion worth of stock, while everyone is out there and they've got the appetite for these shares. Once again, insiders that's ticked right back up to 30. Super bearish stuff here. Insiders are really selling at a time when retail are playing games, treating it like it literally is a game there, guys. Now, I'm just going to mute this. We back? We're back. Right. You guys have been telling me off for drinking too loud out of my drink bottle and blowing my nose. So, I'm keeping you all happy on a Sunday night. Okay, so hedge fund traders are losing billions thanks to these Reddit traders that we keep reading about. So what is going on here? You've probably seen it in the headlines. Wall Street bets, they're causing these big firms to lose big time, and their friends are having to come in and bail them out. So lend them millions of dollars to get out of these positions that they're being squeezed in. Now, after this all happened, Discord got together, the Reddit page went down. I'm not sure if that was a bit of a mistake, but that actually came back up. And they've shut down these Wall Street bets pages and communities. So these guys have got together, and it's not actually a pump and dump scheme like a lot of people have been making it out to be. The Robinhood CEO, these people are coming out and saying, "Oh, we just shut everything down trading wise when the short squeeze began on things like GameStop to protect our customers." Now, we actually heard from other brokers that they did get the call from clearinghouses saying, "Hey, the hedge funds are going to go, bust here. They're bleeding. You need to stop this." And so they basically stopped the ability for the retail traders and the Wall Street bets guys to buy these stocks or to buy the calls to drive the momentum and the price up. So when all these big hedge funds have got massive short positions, they're trying to drive the price into the ground. They're selling shares that they don't own. Now, that can all go pear-shaped very quickly, as we've seen, and it's the reason that GameStop has gone from $3 to $400. GameStop actually didn't have the worst fundamentals, and that's kind of how this started. The Wall Street bets guys said, well, you know what, this stock doesn't deserve to be getting driven into the ground by short sellers. Let's push it up, and that started the momentum. But now it's kind of spread out and become a bit bigger. The Senate are going to hold a bit of a hearing into what's going on at the moment because it is turning into chaos quickly. Robinhood have already been hit with a class action after they restricted that stock. Imagine reading those messages saying, "Hey, your position's been closed," when you thought you'd made a massive profit, or just not being able to trade out of it. Whereas your Wall Street buddies, they're being bailed out. You get the phone call, "Hey guys, we shut down Robinhood. Get out of your positions now. Rearrange things. We've got your back." That is just so wrong on so many levels. The SEC have come out with a bit of a statement. They're monitoring what's going on. I'm not sure how you can kind of say that, they keep pushing back this Bitcoin ETF, and how all this stuff that's happening right now is less of an evil than what a Bitcoin ETF could possibly be. I don't know. Once again, big tech colluding. They've salvaged Robinhood's 1-star ratings. Scrapped 100,000 negative reviews from all these unhappy people. This is just absolute BS. But hey, there's a bit of a light at the end of the tunnel here, which we'll get to. I absolutely love this meme from GameSpot. So they've retweeted Robinhood back in 2016 when their message was, let the people trade. Very hypocritical, hey. Blockbuster joins the Reddit-inspired retail rally, so they're picking different stocks. Now here we have a bit of a list or a graph you can see of the most shorted stocks. This might give you a bit of a clue as to what could possibly be next. And one thing I talked about with Martin that I wasn't even aware of, that the float can actually get above 100%. So once again, I'm not even sure the mechanics of this, how these brokers can actually lend out more shares than even exist. But there was 140% of the shares have been sold short. So, hey, that is why these big squeezes happen. Now, I mentioned this at the start. FTX have been awesome at adding all these stocks very quickly. So if you haven't opened an account up there already, that double discount link is down below. But there is just opportunity galore at the moment, guys, if you understand what you are doing. So watch all my tutorials, watch our education, Familiarize yourself, build these skills. Like I've always said, these are life skills for situations like this. Now, the next target in the Wall Street Bets crosshair is this silver short squeeze, because how many times have you heard me talk about it? The frenzy, yes, but there's a reason behind this. I spoke about the detachment between reality of the paper price and the physical price. I did a tutorial on actually how to arbitrage this when the spread blew out at the around March, April, when all the supply chains were down, COVID was in full swing, and this was one of the most profitable trades we had because the paper price had got so low because of forced selling. Now, in a similar vein of thought, you can think that the price is lower than it maybe naturally would be because of all the short selling that takes place in these markets. And so if they can start to drive the price of SLV ETF up here, we might see a massive silver squeeze. Ainsley wrote a good article about this just this afternoon. We're hearing that there's actually physical shortages already. APMEX is one of the biggest bullion dealers in the world. We've heard stories, CoinSpot are telling us that the traffic is just 5,000% higher than normal. It's really nuts what is going on. Once again, FTX have got a silver future and the SLV that you can trade as well. Now, really important for members, you'll remember the Sunday night market open trade that we did on gold. It's one of the few times that it's almost a guaranteed profit. I will be discussing this straight after the video. I'll be doing a write-up about how we can arbitrage and take advantage of this. And I think, again, it's one of the few times that there's going to be a guaranteed profit. So open up an account with FTX with the link below. Watch the tutorial on how to use it, and I'll do that write-up straight after this video. Bitcoin hit $1 trillion market cap. The Pentagon has got 35 trillion that they can't account for. So these are the sort of deficits that we're running. These are the games that are being played. This is the really important stuff that we should be talking about, but is not being looked into. And it all comes back to this word that I want to tie this all together with, and that's trust. So this was a great study talking about the loss of trust around the world. Remember when Commissioner Hayne, after the Royal Commission into Banking in Australia, said there's just been a crisis of leadership, people are angry, all this stuff's going to continue, yellow vest movements, protests. That's where it's all going. And it's no coincidence that the BIS, they want to roll all this out. They want everyone to be using their digital coins. They want everyone to be monitored. They want everyone to be chipped. And people are wising up to this. They're not going to stand for it. So thankfully, we've got a bit of a spectrum here. Companies like Circle in the crypto world are teaming up to do more and more of these payments. So the banking system is slowly losing their power to crypto, to better technologies. Even something like Hedge or Hashgraph is now actually teaming up with FPOS in Australia, which is very, very cool to see. Eric Voorhees sums this up perfectly. The big fella here is basically saying that, digital currencies, if they're needed, central banks should be the issuers, as we're best placed to provide sound money. What an absolute load of crap. They've just abused their power at no end. They are the least trustworthy people on the planet. We need to get rid of the power that they have. And as Mark Cuban says here, DeFi, not Robinhood, gives money back to the users. So one by one, people are coming out. Advocates are choosing crypto over the corporates. This is just, I love seeing this. One of the biggest narratives that I've been speaking about for this year is D-Web, Web3, the new internet that we're building on Ethereum and other blockchains. It gets rid of all this centralization. It gets rid of all the control that these entities have, and it gives it back to the users. No more deplatforming, no more censorship. I just love, this is the most bullish possible backdrop and narrative that we have right at the time when the bull market is getting into full swing. So this makes me even more bullish on Ethereum and those other blockchains. Google competitor Presearch is launching a decentralized search engine. So whether it's search engines, VPNs, file storage, computation, every single part of that stack is going to be decentralized and give the power back to us guys. the end users. All right. Now, if you missed this at the start, don't forget free knowledge center, guys. We've added predictive text. We want to build the Google of crypto education. This is all free. Please get your friends and family over there. Take advantage of it. Every single day we are adding new units and upgrades to this website, to our platform. All right, so the United States has updated a few of their AML and CFT laws. Nothing too big compared to what might have been coming down the pipe that Biden put a freeze on. And speaking about being a team player, Ripple's demanded to know why Ether isn't a security as part of their XRP defense. So, yeah, getting a little bit desperate. Freedom of Information Act. They want to know why the SEC, what's going on with their Ethereum co-founders. They really feel like they're getting off. Now, look, most of you know that I'm not a fan of Ripple or XRP, but I think it's very, very clear. There's one company that had the majority of the tokens, and they've been selling them. People invest, and it's the effort of those people in the company that are going to cause the price to go up. Like, that is the definition, and you just can't argue with that compared to a global centralized network with 30,000 nodes and peers, with tokens and apps all built by the users. XRP and Ripple just has absolutely none of that. A secure messaging app, Signal, looking at crypto payments. We've got Facebook. They've got 50 million transactions. I think everyone's forgotten about their stablecoin. I don't think it's going to be a big contender, really, with everything that's going on. Visa is looking to add crypto payments as well to its network. So they're already trying to build stablecoins on top of Ethereum, but maybe adding Bitcoin as well, maybe the Lightning Network, who knows. Coinbase have finally decided they're going to go to a direct listing, going public. So that is one to look forward to. You can also trade that on FTX. The revolution will not be reported quarterly. So where we're going in this world of DeFi, everything is going to be on-chain and transparent. So think about things like earnings that are front-run and insider trading. It's just going to be a constant stream of knowledge, and it's up to you to analyze. It's not going to be a quarterly reporting number anymore. Very, very exciting, making things fairer for everyone to do their own research on. NIX has acquired security token platform Open Finance. We're starting to get a bit more certainty around all these regulations with security tokens, which were probably a year or two behind where we thought they'd be. And it's another, I guess, credit to the DEXs, how far they've come, that they've caught up to a lot of these other platforms and even past some of the exchanges. So we've got one of the 0x project members will be joining the CFTC, helping them with policy about tech. Hey, they absolutely love seeing stuff like that. We need more of that. Ernst & Young, Paul Broady, he's saying that he really expects the consumers to get on board with DeFi and it all to ignite this year. Certainly feels this way with some of the scaling news that we're going to get to. Mike Novogratz, he's invested in another crypto startup serving millions in Korea. This is Terraformer. Really cool one. I've got a few more news articles in relation to that one to get to. Zora releases their tools for building crypto media, another layer of the DeFi stack that we can build. All right, so altcoins have been popping. We've started to see mid caps and even small caps really outperforming Bitcoin and Ether. There's some great data from Sentiment that kind of showed us that this was maybe on the way when we see things like active addresses and token velocities. But Dogecoin was the talk of the week. Wall Street Bets got behind it. Elon Musk tweeted it. He then tweeted Bitcoin. Everyone was on board. Influencers jumped on board. And this is one that maybe we got a bit lucky, but we did nail it. So the night before all this happened, I did this write-up for everyone saying that I just got this sort of gut feeling that this is going to happen and Doge is going to get trending on social media. Little did I know that it was going to go up 768%. And plenty of you caught that, and some of you got it on leverage. So, hey, I know one person that made 6 figures out of this. So, appreciate the kind messages, guys. Look, they're not all going to be winners, but this was probably one of the greatest trades from a little write-up that we've had. Here we can see the funding. So I'll just refresh this. And at the moment, there's still a lot of people, when I last checked, that were shorting. Okay, so this has swung around a bit, but this was still deeply negative last time I checked the funding on Dogecoin. So when everyone is shorting still, I think that Doge could have another rally if the whole market starts to rise. I don't think Doge was a pump and dump that's going to go all the way down. I think there's a fair bit of momentum there that could get going if we're in this kind of altcoin alt season. All right, so look, Maddie and I did our monthly update with a year look ahead for NFTs in crypto. Check that video out if you haven't. We're starting to get a lot of these NFT gaming projects work on scaling solutions. So Mintable have now got a way that you can mint NFTs without using any gas off-chain. Cometh is another one that's using some of these layer 2s very, very soon. I've spoken about Seller Network in the past. They've got heaps of gamers. Matic Network is a prime example. We spoke to Gods Unchained last week, all doing scaling solutions that are going to benefit the entire community. Now, you guys have been wanting this gaming index, and there's actually one that's been put forward from PieDAO that I helped. Well, I proposed this to Alex, and he went and made it an official proposal for the community to approve. So if this gets approved, it'll be called the Play Index. It'll have these tokens here, and you'll just be able to buy that token, and that token will buy all those other tokens from like Uniswap or another DEX, and it creates an index for you. So really cool stuff, and it won't be the first. I want to make plenty of these if this one goes well. All right, so this is a pretty amazing infographic. We've just come so far. The layers of the stack, the different blockchains, they all plug into each other. They complement each other. This is what you might have heard, like, layer 3, layer 0, the full stack, all decentralized. Every aspect is getting there. And now that scaling is rolling out, guys, we're finally getting close to that mass adoption. Grayscale, they see this coming as well. They've rolled out some more trusts for assets like Polkadot, Aave, Cosmos, and many more. Hey, money is going to flow to where it's treated best. Money will flow to the large cap coins and quality projects. I've been drilling these messages into members for years, and I hope your portfolio has benefited from this. All right, that was a mouthful. Aave, this has been on absolute fire. Have we got some Aave news here in a second? Yes. All right, so Aave, I think it got up even higher than this, but Aave had a 100-for-1 split. But when we first covered it, and Matt wrote this one up for members in our research, and I think he said it was his favorite for the year. I think it was less than 0.2%. So Aave's gone from $4 million market cap to $4 billion. That's a 1,000x return, not 1,000%, 1,000x. Investing $1,000 if you'd held till now is $1 million. They're the sort of incredible returns that are not possible anywhere apart from crypto. So well done, anyone that got on that after the research and held this entire time. FTX have created that Wall Street Bets Index. I just mentioned that before. That FTT token, that has continued to rally. I think it's up to $13. So this is one that, again, we did a write-up on. It was 80 cents in the ICO. I think a lot of you that missed the ICO got it for $1 when it first launched on the exchange. Yep, $1. And again, that's another 1,000% winner that you guys have been able to see transparently in my portfolio the whole time for members. All right, FTX have also got behind this Maps.me project. So they've raised $50 million. This is kind of like a traveling sort of app with built-in DeFi wallets. So forget, the travel cards and having to exchange currencies and all that crap. You can now do it all in one app. Even like the DeFi high savings account. So you're going to be able to use stable coins to get 8% interest. That's a lot of money for a traveler. You got $100 in there. Earning that interest can actually be a fair bit of money. So robbing from the poor and giving back to the rich. This is the blowback from Robinhood that I mentioned in the macro section, but this is just paving the way for the attention to come to DeFi. So more and more of these indexes are going to be decentralized. This is another great one here from the guys over at the Index Coop. This is the Flexible Leverage Index. Uniswap versus SushiSwap. Hasn't this battle heated up? SushiSwap has caught back up to Uniswap in terms of its volume. This is amazing. And hey, I keep harping on about this one because some of the comments and trolls and harassment I got for this was the worst I've ever got, and it's now up 2,400% in 90 days. It's worth $1 billion, and that makes Sushi the fastest unicorn in crypto history. So, I think the trolls are quieting down a little bit now. Reddit partnering up with the Ethereum Foundation after they had that bit of a test run. So they are going to use some of those scaling solutions to help scale Reddit. Arbitrum, so they're rolling out their testnet for the DeFi ecosystem. This is kind of like remember I did a bit of a tutorial showing you the Uniswap that had been built on top of Arbitrum. 1inch, another token that you should have got for free if you're a follower of ours and we did the 1inch tutorials. This has rallied 30% in a month. I think it's up 100% today by now. Another one that's closing in on $1 billion. This is just amazing how much volume is going through 1inch, going through 0x. So 0x have actually created an optimized version of the Uniswap smart contract itself, and it's now cheaper to use 0x to access Uniswap than to use Uniswap itself. So you can do all that through Matcha. It's just so cool how these plug into each other. Remember 2 years ago when Ethereum was down 90%, $80, and everyone said it was dead and whatnot, and hey, here we are. This week we hit a new all-time high, but so much has changed. All these different sectors. Hey, I'm very passionate about all this. So Opium, another little project that I'm involved with that are doing decentralized derivatives. I think this is going to be very, very cool. Again, handing the power and the governance to the community. This is another example of a DAO. This is one of the themes that I've been bullish on for this year as well. So this one launched and did like 1,000% on day one. So I know a few of you got in on that little private sale or early investment. So hey, well done there. Another balancer proposal to give the community back some incentives that might be coming. Keep an eye out for that, balancer users. Alpha Hombrero have launched version 2. So this is another yield farming project to get you the best returns. Anchor, this is an interest rate system across all the different blockchain universes. So this is the sort of thing that Raul was talking about that he wants to see for the market to mature. We've got Armor, so this is another decentralized protocol, all about insurance again, but they're going to only allow you to pay for what you use, pay as you go style protection, which is awesome. And I think it is built on top of Nexus Mutual. Yes, it is. So cool. DeFi pooling. So this is coming to a lot of these layer 1 projects. This is going to help really scale things. StarkX here, this technology, it helps kind of batch all these transactions together. So imagine being able to do everything with 100 or 1,000 users at the same time when you want to move in or out of one of those contracts or claim your rewards. This is going to bring down those fees on layer 1. So DeFi pooling. These guys are just one of the best teams. Stark powered layer 2 ZK roll-ups. Bit of a mouthful there. Planets, constellations, then universes. So this is where they just want to build all these different roll-ups. Look, this probably is going to require an entire episode, and I will have the team on at some point. But this is just an amazing technology that's going to make things 1,000 times more efficient. Uniswap and Compound are hitting new highs. $30 billion now locked in DeFi. Tornado Cash, those of you that have again watched that tutorial and you would have been airdropped some tokens, that one is going live tomorrow. I think this one is another one that's going to be very, very hot. MakerDAO, they've got a proposal to fix do these DeFi fixed rate loans. The system's maturing. Kyber's token pumped this week when they spoke about new tokenomics and a bit of an overhaul, so they're going to become more competitive as a DEX. 0x have rolled out version 4. I just touched on that before, but they're now doing more volume than some of the big exchanges like even Kraken these days. Loopring's liquidity mining's gone live. They're doing some big volumes now. They've got these incentive, the index coup tokens for those of you that are using Loopring exchange on layer 2. I just mentioned that 0x volume, new tokenomics for Loopring, one that I own, one that I'm very bullish on. That's been well received this week. DYDX have closed a $10 billion offer, and guys, if you remember, make sure you read the write-up I did on DYDX and how you can benefit from that going forward. BadgerDAO, they've airdropped a Bitcoin-pegged Digg token. If you're a BadgerDAO user, keep an eye out for that. That airdrop is now worth $7,000. Into the Bitcoin news. So a lot of these chips are in short supply. That's starting to affect mining in China. But hey, Chinese New Year, it's time. We've had the Tether FUD, we've had regulation FUD, but now it's Chinese New Year FUD. It's just crazy, like clockwork, how the market is so reactive to these. Crypto Miner Marathon, they've bought $150 million of Bitcoin. Michael Saylor's conference is this week, so I think that's going to cause the next leg up, to be honest with you. We're starting to get some of these developers get open source funding from big players in the space. I love seeing this. Ray Dalio has changed his tune a little bit on Bitcoin. A bit of a misleading headline, but I think he's coming around a little bit more favorable the way he's thinking about Bitcoin. New subscribers to Bitcoin Reddit. This has gone parabolic. So 160,000 in, is this a week? In a week. Bitcoin jumped 11% after Elon changed his bio to Bitcoin, and that was one of the craziest things I've seen. That liquidated billions of dollars of short. So hey, I do feel a bit for those people, but it is a dangerous thing to do to ever short Bitcoin. Tim Draper has said to Elon that he'd buy a Cybertruck with Bitcoin. So whether or not Elon now comes out and says that he's going to put Bitcoin on the balance sheet, or that you can just buy a Tesla with Bitcoin, either way, it's going to be very bullish if he says anything. Bitcoin ETF stall. We've got these big trust funds going public in other countries. Yeah, we've had a few more people file for an ETF in America, but they're just leaving themselves behind now. We've got some pretty big players in the space. So this was the Bank of Singapore saying that Bitcoin could replace gold as a store of value. Scaramucci, he's saying that Bitcoin is as safe as owning bonds and gold. And that's where people are kind of getting to in terms of confidence. And one of the headline analyses that we did this week for gold members was about how these US college endowments are buying crypto on different exchanges, and not just Bitcoin either. They've been buying Ethereum and buying a few different coins as well. So, hey, let's have a look at a few metrics. One that did fully reset were these spent outputs. So this is very, very healthy when we see this reset back to zero. You can't quite see this behind me, but it basically means that when these coins are on the move, people aren't in profit. Stable coins on exchanges is back up here near all-time highs. Bitcoin whales holding more than 1,000 Bitcoin, again, setting records. These are seriously probably the most bullish numbers we could hope for at this stage of the cycle, apart from the heat map here. So hodl waves, we have seen a lot of coins on the move. Now, whether or not that's slightly different this cycle because there's DeFi and you can wrap your Bitcoin or you can get interest on it this time around. You can lend it out and get quite good rates at the moment, even just on exchanges at the moment. So, hey, just a few things to be mindful of. But the one thing that I want to finish off here for to let you know was this is the all exchange inflow. And what you can see just behind me here is that it's tapered right off. And we actually had 0 coins go to exchanges for 1 hour yesterday. So compared to back here and even just yesterday, still massive inflows coming to exchanges. We've seen a lot of coins coming from miners. That's all slowed up now. So I think the worst could be behind us. People are just waiting to see when the bottom is in to deploy all those stable coins. $5 billion of stable coins are waiting to be injected into the market. So let's get rid of all this drawing. This is pretty much a bull flag here, guys. Let's not overcomplicate things. Now, if this bull flag actually plays out, we go the length of the flagpole, let's just call it $60,000, $70,000 that gets us to. And that's kind of where I definitely think we can head to on this next leg up. Ethereum also looking fairly healthy. Nice volume. It's just, look, this is probably what should have been a bull flag as well, but it's so bullish, it's just been grinding higher. And that's because of the ETH Bitcoin ratio. Still got so much catching up to do compared to its historical norms. So, hey, can this one go 200% on top of whatever Bitcoin does? I definitely think that ETH is eyeing off $2,000. Honestly, it would not surprise me if we get there within a week or two. Alts have been moving. Don't forget, if you are playing the alts, we've got the altcoin index, the mid cap, the shitcoin index, the DeFi index. This is the way that I do like to play them. Dogecoin, magnificent pump this week. I think that we are possibly setting up to have another little run here. As long as we're holding these fibs after a big move, what on-balance volume can tell us, if we come down here, what on-balance volume can tell us here is that we haven't gone back down to where we started. A lot of that volume and buying that came in is still in the market. So that tells me that we're not going to retrace this entire move. If on-balance volume was right back down here where it started, that would be a pump and dump. But I think Doge is going to have another run. And look, people out there on social media want to get it to $1. That would give it a market cap higher than Bitcoin, I think, but we're not going to get there. But don't be surprised when things go a lot higher than you think in a bull market, okay? We've seen 100x's before. We've seen strange things happen. I hope you guys have enjoyed that episode. Smash that like button. Head over to the website. Take advantage of all those free resources. Get your friends and family involved. I hope you guys are enjoying this bull market. I think we're about to resume it, and I'll talk to you again soon. Cheers.